There's this guy on the left, S-H-O-R, Shore is his last name. I think his first name is David. If you've been listening to my show the past 2 weeks, I've reported on this guy repeatedly. They had some coverage of him in New York Magazine. He's a liberal, a self-admitted liberal. Well, I don't know if it was because of our show or whatever, but we've been covering him extensively. And now all of a sudden he's doing a little media tour. Why? Because he wrote this piece telling he's a liberal himself. He wrote this piece warning liberals, you guys and ladies are destroying the Democrat Party. Trump is doing this, liberals are doing this, and Trump is winning. Again, the author saying this is a liberal himself. Here is why the Trump effect is getting Hispanic and working class voters to leave the Democrat Party in droves. And he's warned them that this is not going to go on forever. You will eventually be a minority party if you continue down this path. Here is this guy Shore with Bill Maher this weekend. The first part, he explains why the left is basically doomed if they don't cut the cancel culture, far left, radical BS, green energy, don't worry, report to your local ICE office, defund the police nonsense. Check this out.
Would you say that there's a woke and liberal are now really two different, at least wings of the party? People who consider themselves classic liberals, like I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
yes. That's why I think they lose. The Democrats have been losing votes that they should be winning.
I think the big thing.
Defund the police. Could you come up with a more drive away the voters phrase than that? For example. Just to take one.
Crime is really unpopular. If you're going to give political advice.
That's probably the most self-evident expression of public voter sentiment you'll ever see in human history. Crime is really not a popular thing, folks. It's not popular in Southern Miami either. South Beach, Southern Florida. I keep saying Southern Miami. Miami is South Florida. It's not popular there either. And I've got news for you quietly racist liberals out there seeming to suggest that the most diverse place on earth should tolerate crime because some of the perpetrators happen to be black. That's really racist to say that on your part. So this guy Shore, who's been warning forever that Trump has an appeal to Hispanic, black, Asian, and white working class voters, that this is eventually going to cost you your party if you don't tighten it up quick. He is warning these idiots on the left that things like defund the police, you are appealing to such a small portion of the population that you can't possibly get a national popular majority if you keep moving forward. And they just don't care. They keep doubling down. Key, I'm going to go a little out of order here. Can we do the LA Times piece now and then go to video number 2? This is important. Listen, Jonah Goldberg is no fan of mine. Okay, let's just be honest. He probably hates my guts. But he's written some decent stuff in the past. And even though I'm no fan of a lot of the stuff he's been saying lately, good stuff is good stuff. He made a really good point in a piece I've cited repeatedly in my show. It'll be in the show notes today, my newsletter. Bongino.com/newsletter is how you get this stuff. Just go there, subscribe to the newsletter. I'll email you this stuff every morning. Read this piece. Again, just because he's a never Trumper doesn't mean the point here isn't one we should really kind of tattoo on our brains. And it relates to this prior segment with this David Shore guy telling liberals, stop being emotional. Start thinking tactically. Defund the police is probably not a good thing. He has this piece, Jonah. It was in the LA Times and elsewhere. Smoking, Guns, and Tobacco. It's from December of 2015. The point of the piece is a simple one. What does smoking have to do with guns and tobacco? What is he talking about? He makes this great point about how the war on smoking in the United States was a successful effort. We haven't eliminated it totally. But I don't know if you remember, Joe, you surely remember, back in the 60s and 70s, even early 80s, everybody smoked.
Oh, yeah.
I remember, I'm not kidding. I'm not going to say who. I may have said it before, but I won't say it again. I remember sitting in a car, let's just say with a relative, often, where they were smoking with the windows closed.
Yeah.
On like an hour-long trip to Jones Beach from Queens. And nobody thought anything of it. It was just like, yeah, everybody smokes. You close the window. Maybe you open it once in a while to let the car air out. But why did that change? Why do so few people, relatively speaking, smoke cigarettes now? Because number one, it was a bipartisan effort. And secondly, people didn't talk to smokers like they were morons. Everybody knew a smoker and made an effort to talk to them on their own terms. I mean, my mother was a smoker. She's scaled down the habit dramatically. But I said to her, I knew on her terms things that would resonate. You knew a smoker. You knew some things and some tactics for getting them to stop smoking would work with some and some not with others. I mean, if you were really aggressive with some, stop smoking, don't be an idiot, they'd tune you out. Some people that may work. You knew a smoker. That was the point. So the point Jonah Goldberg makes in this piece, again, which you should read, is why did the left's war on the Second Amendment fail? Because they made no effort to understand gun owners like they understood smokers. They just insulted them. Every time there's a shooting or a crime, you just want people dead if you're a gunner. I do? When did I say that? Well, you never said it, but because you're a conservative and I hate you, I'm just going to impugn your character and say stupid stuff like that. They made no effort to understand gun owners like they made an effort to understand smokers. That's important here. And this piece is relevant to what this guy Shore is saying to Bill Maher. That, hey, if you don't make an effort, you radical liberal nutbags, me kind of throwing that in there a little bit. If you don't make an effort to understand why working class folks are leaving your movement in droves, you're not going to have a party left. If you're just going to do what you did with the Second Amendment, anti-Second Amendment movement, which is insult people and tell every gun owner you just want people dead, you're going to fail, just like the anti-Second Amendment movement has failed. Now, here's Maher, part 2 of this interview, Bill Maher talking to this guy Shore about another thing, how the left has gotten so crazy in an effort to attack conservatives and push forward this cancel culture agenda. Remember, it's a power thing, that the left is actually doing things so stupid and counterproductive, like defund the police. These are ridiculously counterproductive, and the numbers prove it, that they're now going back to segregation, Jim Crow type policies and suggesting somehow that this is them moving up the moral totem pole, that they're the woke ones. I'm pretty confident segregation was a bad thing. I'm 100% confident I'm on the right moral arc of history with that assertion, not liberals. Liberals want to resegregate college campuses, college graduations. And don't worry, folks. They're saying it's okay because it's all voluntary now. Here's Bill Maher suggesting how, gosh, you're right. This whole left, they're losing their touch with their base because they're really stupid right now with defund the police and other stuff. Maybe this resegregation thing isn't a good idea. Check this out.
We seem to be entering an era of resegregation that's coming from the left. Mm-hmm. I mean, on many college campuses, there are separate dorms, separate black dorms, graduation ceremonies, stuff like that. How will that affect elections in the future?
You know, I think there's a lot of. There was a great study in North Carolina that showed that, racially integrated schools make people more liberal. But, I think just to go back, I think that the important thing is to just realize that most non-white voters are not liberal. They don't identify as liberal. We should take that really seriously. And I think that when realizing that most voters don't share our values means that we should instead try to meet people where they are with the values that they actually hold, and that we should talk to them about issues that they care about.
Think about the Goldberg piece now. Asking you to get out of your comfort zone just a little bit and think this through. It's not just that liberals don't understand conservatives like they didn't understand gun owners. Liberals don't understand Democrats either. Defund the police was a grotesquely unpopular proposal that probably cost the Democrats upwards of 10 or more congressional seats. It doesn't matter. They keep doubling down. Why? Resegregation of college campuses is an obviously immoral, absurd, outrageous, stupid, racist proposal, and yet liberals are the one pushing it while conservatives are fighting it. So why do they do it if, as Shore just acknowledged, the guy being interviewed by Bill Maher, another liberal, Shore just acknowledged it's counterproductive that diverse classrooms actually promote liberal ideas. Because, ladies and gentlemen, number one, liberals are caught in a vacuum of stupid. But number two, There is power in this. Power is appetizing. Liberals love cancel culture and radical, stupid ideas because they're celebrated amongst a small populace of liberal intelligentsia. They're celebrated. They're lauded. Robin DiAngelo and others, that the anti-racist author, they're celebrated. So there's power in it. There's glory in it for them. There's power in canceling people. There's power in being the first one to double down and say, I just don't want a separate black graduation. I want a black Caribbean nation segregation graduation. And then the other liberals are like, that's a great idea. Why didn't I think it? And then they celebrate that. So they double and triple down on stupid because they don't even understand, and are making no effort to even understand Democrats. Forget about conservatives. You don't believe me? When I told you repeatedly, you doubt me, that this cancel culture, radical far left, power-based absurdity is eventually going to be cannibalistic, and the left are going to be left to entirely eat their own soon? Why? Because conservatives are ignoring them.